Welcome to Beyond the Label, a raw, real-life look at living with disabilities, presented by Century Martial Arts, the world leader in martial arts since 1976. CenturyMartialArts.com for everything that is martial arts.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Label. I'm JD.
And I'm Charile Murphy.
We still can't find Mike, so my buddy Charile Murphy came along. Hey, Charlie, tell him a little bit about how we got to know each other and all that kind of stuff.
Well, we worked together for 10 years or so at a radio station here in Rutland, Vermont. I was telling Jason how I was about this close to becoming a karate instructor with no experience whatsoever. I answered an ad in the local newspaper when I was out in Phoenix. And so I went down to apply, and they said, well, yeah, you got the job. We'll train you, and you can train other people. So all you need to do is purchase a gi. And I was like, well, I'm flat broke. That's why I'm looking for a job. How much is the gi? And they told me, and I was like, I got to pass. So I was almost a karate instructor. And then the karate thing came up, and Jason said, oh yeah, I was going to do karate when I was a kid. And I looked at him, I'm like, wait a minute, you're cruising around on crutches. How the hell are you going to do, how you going to do karate? And I think that whole story kind of got him fired up about the whole thing. And he was bound and determined that he was going to take karate lessons, and he was going to go from there. And that's kind of how the whole thing started with Jason and myself.
It's been a wild ride, and he always throws out the challenge, and you never know if he's 100% serious or half serious or whatever, but it works. We have a lot of fun, and glad to have him aboard. Hey, I got another buddy along for the ride today, and his name is Rustin Hughes. He is from Colorado, and he is the founder of an organization called Be Bold. Rustin, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Be Bold. How does this all come about for you?
Well, I guess we'll just kind of start from the beginning. Grew up in Nebraska. I wrestled and played football. I went off to the military right after high school. Served 4 years, was deployed over to the former Yugoslavia. I got out of the Army and moved to Colorado with my girlfriend, Brandy. We eventually we ended up getting married. She had brain cancer. She passed away in 2012. After she had passed away, I was a plumber by trade. And I realized that life was really short, and I needed to find something that was going to make me happy. And I really loved cooking. So I went to culinary school in Boulder. I did my internship in Key West. I was going to start my private chef business right after graduation. And right after I graduated, we were at a concert at Red Rocks in Colorado, and you kind of have to walk to get to your seats. And it was quite the process to get to our seats. My leg kept hurting. And this has been kind of a ongoing thing where my leg was hurting, and I was in mixed martial arts. I was an amateur fighter. And I just kind of thought it was a part of training, you're always getting hurt one way or another. And I thought it was kind of like a pinched nerve kind of pain is what it felt like in my leg. Well, it got to a point on that day that I couldn't walk. And so we ended up going to the emergency room the following day, and they found a massive blood clot in my femoral artery. And I really didn't understand even what that meant at that time. So I was in ICU for 4 days, and they were trying to break the clot, and there was no budging this clot. They said it was just a massive clot in my artery. I left the hospital with a big bottle of painkillers and a big bottle of blood thinners. And my next doctor's appointment was in about a month. And at that time, I just had really one question for the doctors, is that, am I going to lose my leg? Because that's what I was hearing from some of the doctors. And they were like, yeah, you're probably going to lose your leg at some point in your life. And I was just like, well, if I'm going to lose my leg, I might as well lose it now. So we scheduled a below the knee amputation. And then 2 weeks later, I was in severe, massive pain. The doctors were looking at my leg, and I had an infection in there, and I had to go back in for surgery. They weren't really telling me that, I could possibly lose my leg above the knee. They said, they just might have to clean everything out. So unfortunately, I go into this, and they ended up taking my leg above the knee. And I was probably at the lowest point of my life at that time. I just lost my wife to brain cancer. She battled that for 11 years. And then not even 2 years after she passed, I'm looking at, a double amputation. And, from that moment, I really wanted to, I really didn't even know what I wanted to do at that time, but the idea of riding a bike, for whatever reason, I don't know why, because I never was a bike rider or anything like that. But to ride a bike from Colorado to Omaha, Nebraska, where she did her cancer treatments. And then in the discussion of this bike ride, they asked me what I wanted to call it. And I said, I don't know what I want to call it. And then somehow Be Bold came from Brandy, my first wife, is a saying that she had kind of with her grandpa. And so we were like, well, that sounds like a perfect name, for this ride that we're going to be on. So we did all the logistics for the ride, and we end up leaving Fort Collins, Colorado, and then we rode to the Omaha University of Nebraska Med Center in Omaha, where she did all of her cancer treatments at, is where we kind of finished the ride. But we finished it in Council Bluffs, Iowa, which is just 10 miles over the river. And what was really cool is that it ended up being like 600 miles right on the nose. We did that ride in 7 days. What was really cool about all that is, like I said, I never rode a bicycle before at all, longer than just like to the store or whatever. And I never really even, so I was training on this upright bicycle and realized that I am not a good bicycle rider at all. And then I found out that the VA will give veterans that qualify adaptive cycle, and I got a hand cycle from the VA. And I trained right around 5,000 miles that year. And again, I never cycled before in my life, and it was pretty amazing. So from all that, I decided to take Be Bold and turn it into a 501c3 nonprofit. And a lot of my recovery was boxing. Again, I said I was an MMA fighter, and a really good friend of mine owns a gym in Fort Collins. And I could only go as far as my wheelchair could take me because I didn't have a prosthetic leg, and I didn't have hand controls for my car, so I could only go as far as my wheelchair would go. So he would pick me up on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that's how I would just sit in front of the heavy bag and like relearn how to punch again, relearn how to do all that stuff. And it was very therapeutic for myself. And I realized that if this is therapeutic for me, it could be therapeutic for other people. Not only was I doing it in my prosthetic leg, but there were times I couldn't wear my prosthetic, so I was in a wheelchair, and I was just like, well, let's start doing some adaptive boxing. And I didn't even know really what to call it. So we just we kind of came up with adaptive boxing, and then from that, it's just really blossomed into this amazing. We've had honestly almost every ability in our gym putting on boxing gloves and boxing. Yeah, and
So,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, so I was just gonna back you up a little bit, right? So, um, I deal with some anxiety and stuff like that. I mean, it's no secret. We did a whole episode on it, and so I'm just sitting here thinking as you're telling that story, I'm like, how's this guy doing this? Like, your wife has brain cancer, passes away, you lose your leg, and you're just like, all right, well, let's get up and just do something. I mean, right there and right then, it could have been easy enough for you to just say, hey, I'm done with it. And you know, um, unlike me with the cerebral palsy, you knew something different, and so for me, I'm just like, I don't even know. I mean, can you speak to that a little bit? Like, what made you get up in the morning? Because you could have just said, "I'm done."
Yeah, definitely. I think, I mean, it was a lot of things. I had a good support group. Um, I also think that just kind of how I was raised, in a sense. My my father grew up on a farm. Like he just he knows hard work, and like I wasn't dead yet, and I'm not dead yet. And I think about my late wife, and just she battled brain cancer for 11 years, and everything that she'd gone through, multiple surgeries, multiple chemo, radiation. She went through pretty much everything you could go through. And a lot of the times she, she had a smile on her face. And I think a lot of it too was her example of what strength is. And in a way, like, I just wanted to, I don't know, I just wanted to be as strong as she was. And, like, those 11 years were hell. We kind of lived life 3 months at a time through doctor's visits and just treatments and everything that was going on. And she had an amazing attitude through it all. And it's just like, I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of. It's just, and I think that a little bit has to do. I was in the army. Like, I'm just not gonna lay down.
Yeah, no, you are. I first met you last year. You were doing a No Barrier Summit, and it was right in the middle of COVID, and our president said, he goes, you got to get into more of these disability groups and things like that. He goes, I found this No Barrier Summit. He goes, you got to check it out. And I watched what you were doing, and I was just like, man, this guy, I mean, like, he's bringing it. Like, this is the example of. I guess I finally found somebody that was like me in the same mindset, and I was just like, cool, this is really cool. And I reached out to you, and we actually, we've struck up a pretty good friendship, and I can, feels like I've known you for years. You know what I mean? And we have some pretty straight up conversations, and that's what I like about it. Um, and I just think that I think you are a good example for somebody that's going through something similar to what you went through, and I can guarantee you that your late wife is very proud of what you're doing, and it's just pretty cool to see all the stuff that you've accomplished, because most people wouldn't have even, they wouldn't have even gone that far, let alone what have they taken it to the next step and helped somebody else.
And so, jujitsu's really changed my life. I believe, like it was really, I did jujitsu before. I lost my leg, but I didn't really get involved into it the way that I am now. What I tell people, like, I was more disabled when I had two legs. To be honest, if we're talking about being truly disabled, I was more disabled when I had two legs. And that was between my ears. I was completely, I didn't have the confidence that I do now. There's a lot of things that, like the way that I look at this is just a vessel. And the loss of my leg isn't disabling to me. The loss of my wife was, and I still deal with it on a daily basis. I also found, like, through jujitsu, like, not having a leg got me into some pretty crazy positions that people didn't know how to get out of. And like, when you can own your disability, are you really disabled? And that's one thing that I look at is, like, I'm not. People may look at me like, oh, he's missing his leg, he's got a disability, but that's not my disability. So yeah, and I think that you just being able to own your disability and be proud of this is who I am. This is what God gave me. This is the body God gave me. And
How old were you when you lost your leg?
I was 40.
40? Okay.
Yeah. And that's another thing I tell people, like, I just got my brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and like, I'm more proud that I'm going to be 47 in September. I'm more proud. I'm an old man in, like, MMA jiu-jitsu type standards. So I'm pretty proud of, like, being able to still do that at 46, and like, I try to recruit people to the gym, and they'll tell me, like, oh, I'm 35 and my back hurts, and I'm like, well, I'm 46 and I got one leg. So like, what's your,
So putting somebody like in a body triangle would be kind of, is it still possible? Is it, I mean,
I have my ways of,
you got your way of doing.
yeah, I call my style nub jitsu.
No. Okay.
There's ways that, I can get into certain positions, and, and there's obviously certain things that I can't do, but I try to stay away from those. I try to focus on what I can do, not what I can't do.
Okay.
And I've got a little army too that, like in our gym, I think I've got 3 amputees that do grappling, and then total, I think we have got 6 adaptive athletes that come to our gym, which is pretty cool, because I don't know of too many gyms that cater to all abilities the way that our gym does. And that's really awesome to see when we actually have a limb parking sign on our wall. We have so many prosthetic legs that we have to have, like, a little designated area for a prosthetic leg,
Wow.
which is really cool.
That is cool.
We have a 9-year-old boy is our youngest, and he's an above the knee amputee, and just watching some of the stuff that he does is just really cool. And that he's the next generation of adaptive athletes coming up is really cool.
I mean, there's a pretty huge difference between a below the knee and above the knee amputation. I mean, did they discuss that with you before, you were going to go through all this and
kind of, it was more like, so I was going in to be a below the knee amputee, and everyone's like, oh, it's a good thing you're a below the knee amputee. Being an above the knee, that's tough. They'd come in and say all those kind of trying to encourage me and everything. But then, 3 short weeks later, there I am going in for that above the knee amputation. And they just kept telling me how horrible it would be to be an above the knee amputee. And I'm so lucky to be below the knee. And now I'm going in for this surgery. And I was just like, what on earth? Like, are you serious? Like, how does this happen? How do I go in for a surgery and then 2 weeks later I got to have like another one? And like, and now you're telling me I'm going to become an above the knee amputee, which you guys were telling me all last week, like how horrible that it would be. And so at that time, that's when I was just so frustrated and just so angry and just like with everything. And I just knew whatever I was going to do after that, I was going to do it 100%. If I was going to quit, I was going to quit 100%.
Well, I watched a video with the TRX that you were doing this training, and I don't know. I was watching it and thinking, I don't think I could do that. And you're tackling it with one leg, and I don't know. I was pretty impressed. It was very cool stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, I honestly, like, my whole mission is just to try to shock the world with just doing stuff, just doing stuff. We don't have a lot of time on this planet. And even if we had 100 years, it's still not enough. Still not enough time to I don't know. It was like I was reborn after that second surgery to a point where I want to do it all on this planet in this lifetime. Not this Monday, but next Monday, I'm going to climb a 14er. It'll be the first 14er that I've done, since my amputation. And I want to do it all. I want to show people that regardless of what goes on in your life, whatever happens in your life, that you can do whatever you want to do. And before I lost my leg, that seemed very cliche. It seemed like a very just like a little saying, oh, you can do whatever you want to if you put your mind to it. But until you actually have to practice that, then realize that it does work. It takes a lot of hard work, though. That's another thing, is that it takes work. You're going to have to, this is something that it just doesn't happen. It takes work, like from where I am at right now to where I was 7 years ago I'm a completely different person, a completely different person. And I tell people it's a blessing in disguise.
Well, that's what I was actually going to ask you was, do you feel that you're in better shape now after the amputation, physically, than you were then? Like, are you more appreciative of physical fitness and those type things now than before?
Oh, I think I just I'm so appreciative of so many things, like I have a stronger relationship with Jesus Christ. I think a lot of times when people are put in situations like this, you either run towards him or you run away from him. And I ran towards him. I believe that, I believe that this was what was supposed to happen. I believe that sometimes we're given callings from God and you can answer it or you can't. It's up to you if you want to answer it. And for whatever reason, I think that I'm answering his calling.
So Rustin, we gotta take a little bit of a break here, and then we'll be back. I wanna dive more into the training aspect of things with you, and more into be bold and how folks can get involved. So we'll be back in just a minute after we hear from our sponsor, Charile Martial Arts.
Beyond the Label, presented by Charile Martial Arts, for everything that is martial arts. It's no secret, every martial artist, no matter their age, dreams of becoming a legend. Having their name listed among the greats like Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, and Jackie Chan. You can hide it or deny it, but you know it's true. Being a legend takes raw talent, dedication, big breaks, and an ability to survive a roller coaster called fame. But it also takes one more thing to go with it: the best gear and equipment in the world. From the company that is martial arts, Century Martial Arts. They aren't just another martial arts supplier that's never set foot on a mat. They are martial artists, and that means they know their products and use what they sell. From uniforms and training gear to weapons and equipment, Century has it all for every martial arts style. Although you may never be listed among the greats, you can still shop like one at centurymartialarts.com and unleash your legend within. Century Martial Arts, the world leader in martial arts since 1976. You're listening to Beyond the Label, a raw, real-life look at living with disabilities, presented by Century Martial Arts. Check them out at centurymartialarts.com.
All right, and we're back with Beyond the Label. It's JD. I'm Charile Murphy. We're here with Rustin Hughes, the CEO of Be Bold. And this Beyond the Label is sponsored by Century Martial Arts, the world leader in martial arts since 1976. And thank you very much to them. Rustin, I had a question. Now, I've always been fascinated with the sweet science. I love boxing. I've never boxed. I've been in one fight. I'm 1-0 in my fighting career. It was in 6th grade. I beat the crud out of this kid. He just wouldn't leave me alone. I said, back off, leave me alone, stop it. And it was one of those after school things. And I ripped my hands up on his face, on his teeth. And I think if you get one of those in, you get it out of the way, and then you start working out and you get bigger than everybody else, you can usually talk your way out of every other opportunity to get into a fight from then on. Yeah. And that's kind of been my motto. Now, I've always been, like I said, fascinated with boxing, and I'm curious how the whole adaptive boxing works.
Well, a lot of the times, we have them come in and we give them gloves. That's the first thing, they put the gloves on, and that's like the smile just comes on their face. And my whole goal is that we get gloves, or get gloves on the participant, because that's like the most important thing, I believe. And like I said, we have all different abilities, and some people don't have good dexterity in their hands. So we have a huge array of different types of gloves that we can put on somebody. And then once they put those gloves on, it's just like this huge smile just comes right on their face. I mean, they're just like, they're ready to go. They know what to do when the gloves come on. And I think too, once they learn like how simple like the punches are, there's 6 punches, 3 on each side. Your 1, 2 are straight punches. Your 3s and 4s are hooks, and 5s and 6s are uppercuts. And then, honestly, once they learn 1 through 6, and then realize they can be put in different scenarios, different combinations, they just love it. It's this huge satisfaction, like they're doing something. They're in a gym, a boxing gym, an MMA gym, the smell of sweat, it gives them a place to be on a Saturday, in a sense, like, hey, I got to go to boxing on Saturday. And yeah, it's one of the most amazing, and people thank me, and I'm just like, I need to be thanking you, because you give me just as much as I'm giving you. And I think that I'm actually getting more, in a sense. Like, I get to watch you have fun. I get to watch you experience something new. I get to watch you step outside your comfort zone and get, like a workout in. And some of these people haven't maybe worked out in a while, or, actually haven't been around friends, people. And it's just one of the most amazing things, is that, like, hey, I don't have all the answers for like how we're going to do stuff, but we're going to figure it out together. Like, we're going to figure this out. Like, I didn't know how I was going to do this. I just figured it out. And so I want to help other people figure it out as well. And that's been one of the coolest things too, because once you you figure it out on your own how to do stuff, that's yours. Like, that's your ownership. You own that. And it gives them, it empowers them in a way. And I think one thing that I learned too, after I lost my leg, was that people with disabilities are 3 times more likely to be attacked in the United States. And so from that, it not only learning to go out and have a workout, but you're also learning the self-defense. There's, like if you can, I say, like if you can put your dukes up like that, some people, they're not going to attack you in a way that people want. If they're looking to attack you, they want something easy. And if you put your hands up like you know what you're doing, they might question if this is the right person that they want to take their wallet or whatever. And it just gives people confidence. And a lot of the times, like when I heard that there's 3 times more attacks on people with disabilities, I was like, that's not an ability issue. That's more of a confidence issue. And what we need to do is instill confidence into people, so they don't look like a victim. And God forbid that you would ever have to defend yourself. You know how to defend yourself. So yeah, it's we had a guy who was blind that came in to box, and that was one of the most amazing things, watching him hit mitts, because he could really he could hear the person's voice, and we were training the pad holder to kind of put the pads where the voice was coming from. So he knew like your 1s and 2s are going to be straight and they're going to be here. And then our 3s and 4s are our hooks. And so he just kind of felt it, and it was one of the most amazing things to watch him, hit mitts. And, we've had, almost anyone you could think of come in, and it has just been an amazing experience.
Nice.
As you talk about that with the boxing, it was kind of the same for me. When I first started training, nobody was really doing it in our area. Vermont is a pretty rural, small state, and nobody was really doing it. And the only opportunity I had was to join a kids class, and the instructor was like, "Do you mind?" And I'm like, "No, I don't mind." And I got more out of that kids class, I think, than I would have out of an adult class. And the other thing that I think that we have to remember as individuals with disabilities is that, anytime we get to interact with younger folks, or other people in the community, it's an opportunity to again break the traditional stigma of what disability truly means. And for me, I mean, I was just like, I've been doing physical therapy since I was 2 years old, and so they're, "Oh, you got to do the stretches and you got to do the this and that," and I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. I'm over that. And the martial arts for me was like, it gave me a reason to do that stuff. I was like, well, if I want to be a better martial artist, then I guess I better be flexible, and so I better do my stretching. And before you knew it, it was like the instructor was incorporating my physical therapy into it, and I was like, this stuff, just like you said with the adaptive boxing, I was like, this stuff is excellent. We've got to allow other people the opportunity to do it and let them know about it. It's not a substitute for physical therapy, and I want our audience to understand that. That's not what you and I are saying. It's an accent to the physical therapy, and for me, it's my opportunity to forget about my disability. When I'm training, or when I'm working, in the gym lifting, or things like that. Those are the times I'm not thinking about my disability. I'm just being a person, so that it's an opportunity to just let the world go. Put the gloves on and let the world go. That's
Yep.
what you're offering. That's what we're offering, and it's, if I could give any advice to anybody, I would say, get involved, because there's plenty of us out there now that can help you do that.
How would people get involved with your organization, with Be Bold? What
So right now we have the gym in Fort Collins, Colorado. Um, but we just did an adaptive boxing and grappling clinic that Jason, we did kind of a Zoom on that. We're looking to do some more of those around the country. We're looking right now at California, doing one in California here before the summer's over. And then starting to head east. We want to hit some other gyms around the country just to show what is achievable. And then I think too that showing gym owners that and coaches that not to be so timid or afraid to have an adaptive athlete come in. It's I've heard of people going to gyms and not being accepted, because they have a disability, just because the coach didn't know how to instruct. And for me, it's not difficult at all. It's just, you gotta have to think outside the box, but that's what we have to do, is show how achievable that this is. It's not difficult at all. Showing the gym owner, showing coaches, showing the participants that this is doable. You can do this. It's going to look a little bit different than other people, the way that they do it, but the end goal is the same. It's that camaraderie. It's that sense of achievement. You've done something. When you go in for a class or a practice, you feel like you've done something when you're done. Today I do a morning class, and then I coach the Parkinson's boxing, and then we have an afternoon grappling class. And like, I'm spent. I am done. Put a fork in me. I'm done today. But it feels so good because I got to go and do 2.5 hours of grappling and an hour and a half of coaching. And there's no better way that I like to spend my Fridays.
Nice. Yeah. Former boxing champ, Paulie Ayala does does a lot of work with the Parkinson's boxing, and you went to Texas and visited his facility, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. We actually we were out there visiting family. My wife's sister and my mother-in-law are out there, and my niece, and we went out and visited. And I actually met Paulie at the Boxing Hall of Fame. Charlie uh, took us out one year to kind of check it out, and we've been hooked ever since. We keep going back, and and all the boxers that I meet, I'm telling them about the AMAA, and that it's a network, and what we're trying to do, and that was their thing, is like, how can we get boxing more involved in your organization, and things like that. And I met Paulie out there, and I said, my father-in-law has Parkinson's. And so we struck up a conversation of like, how can I help him a little bit, blah blah blah. And he was like, well, why don't you come out and check out what I got going on? And like all our programs, it's kind of a small program, and he's growing it, and it's something that he does, you know, because he believes in it, because he wants to give back to his community. The one thing I can tell you about, uh, doing adaptive from an instructor standpoint, um, if you're doing an adaptive class for the monetary reason, then you're probably doing it for the wrong reason. But if your heart's in the right place, and you're doing it to help people, there are plenty of folks out there that need the help, and that's what our organization is about. Like I said, it's a network to network people of a like mind to instructors that can help them, and we also support the instructor. So if you don't know how to train somebody with a disability, don't say I can't do that and turn them away like I was, when I was 8 years old. Come to us and say, how can you guys help? I mean, Rustin is on that team of, hey, try this, try that. We have a whole consulting team. So So the resource is there if you truly want to do it. Rustin, one of the things, and we talked about your gym and going to the gym after the amputation. What were you the first adaptive athlete that the gym had, and what was their reaction to it? Were they a little nervous at first?
Uh, yeah. So my good friend Ryan Schultz owns the gym, and I've known him ever since we were little. And I called him up and I said, hey, like I don't. Could you help me out? Because like I was losing my mind because just being stuck at the house in a wheelchair and not being able to do anything. And so he picked me up, and he's just like, you're gonna have to kind of figure some stuff out on your own. I can kind of tell you some stuff, but you're gonna kind of have to figure this stuff out. And then when I got into jujitsu, that's when we had the talk that really like it was this light bulb moment for me. And he looked at me and he was just like, listen, you're gonna have to find a way to turn your disability into an ability. And as soon as he said that, it kind of took me. I was like, what does he mean by that? And then I was just like, I think I might know what he means. And I would get people in positions that they have no idea how to get out of because they've never been in this position before with a guy that has like 1.5 legs. And a lot of the times too, people are like, their mindset is to go arm, leg, leg. And when that leg isn't there, there's a split second where it throws them off, and you can use that split second for your advantage. And when and that's where I got the term nub-jitsu, is just like, this is my style of jujitsu, and I'm going to take my disability and I'm going to use it to my full advantage. I learned how to do, we were talking about a body triangle earlier, but I learned how to do a regular triangle is a choke. And a lot of people don't think that I can triangle them, but I can put them in a triangle, and I take my nub and I stick it right here in their throat, right on that side. And you pull down on their head, and it doesn't take long before they tap.
Yeah.
And
Hey, can you come up to Vermont? And Charlie said he'd love to see what that feels like.
like a little railroad spike. But yeah, I taught that to some of our other guys, that we only try to do that in a tournament. We don't do it at the gym on our own guys, but that's a tournament move. But yeah, it's just owning your disability. I'm working with a guy right now who's paralyzed, and I'm an above the knee amputee. I don't know what it's like to be paralyzed, and so I can kind of show him some things, and then I want him, and he's doing this. It's so awesome to watch. He's really like just engulfing himself in jujitsu, and like, how does he use his body to submit people, and especially when you only have half of your body to use. And so he's figuring out how to move his body in certain ways, and it's just really cool to watch him take ownership of his disability. And that's when I tell people, like, if you take ownership of your disability, are you really disabled? It's like, you're not. And I don't even like the terminology disabled. When I got to do a world tournament in Abu Dhabi for the United Arab Emirates Jiu-Jitsu Federation, and that was that's the Mecca. Going to Abu Dhabi is the Mecca of Jiu-Jitsu. And we were doing these interviews, and one thing that I learned is, like, the United States is one of the few countries that has that term disabled. People in Abu Dhabi, they say people of determination. That's how they classify people that are disabled. And I said, we need to start using that here in the United States. I mean, come on now. Like, imagine being born under that banner, or something happens to you in the middle of your life. You're not disabled. You're a person of determination. I mean, that's going to eliminate a lot of excuses. because you can't say, oh, I can't do that because I'm a person of determination. That just doesn't sound right. You know, it's so
Right.
easy. No, it doesn't sound right at all, but it's so easy to say, oh, I can't do that because I'm disabled. It's so easy to say that. And a lot of people allow it. They allow, oh yeah, he's right. You know, he's disabled and it's probably too hard for him to do that. You know,
Yeah.
let's change the terminology. We're people of determination. And it's so hard to say you can't do something because you're a person of determination. Just doesn't go.
Yeah. No, it's I see it a lot, um, if you look at the way walk with the crutches, my shoulders are forward, and so people tend to automatically assume they don't know me. Like, my stature says I need some extra assistance, and then when they see what I'm doing, they're just totally blown away. And the other thing is if they touch me to go to try to like assist me with stairs or something, man, I didn't. You're built like it doesn't look it, but you're built. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, you wanna, let's get down on the floor and I'll show you because my upper body is where it's at. As far as the martial arts goes, um, everybody's like, well, what if I am attacked or whatever? And I'm like, that's okay as long as I can get to the ground as quick as I can. Because once I'm on the ground, that's where I'm used to being, and then that levels the playing field, and so I think that's what people with adaptive situations need to think about is um people are automatically gonna assume that you are less capable, and that you need assistance, and that it's easy pickings, and so you almost have to kind of use that to your advantage and then show them something different. And the shock of you doing something that they're not expecting, and then B, the shock of you knowing what to do. Um, Now you've leveled the playing field. So anybody that says, well, um, I'm disadvantaged because I have a disability, not really. You're disadvantaged because of the mindset that you keep. It's all about the mindset,
Yeah.
and what you choose to make of it. And I just, like I said, your story is awesome. I'm glad to see that we think alike, and we're always pushing the envelope, and there's always guys like Charlie out there just poking us with a stick just to see what we're gonna do. It's like, yeah, okay, so what do you got next, Charlie? What do you want me to try? I'm ready. Let's go. So, but we need people like Charlie to show the world that just because we have a disability doesn't mean that we're incapable or that life is different or over. It's just we have to start looking at it differently.
And I look at like my disability is an opportunity to get different types of workouts in. Like right now, I had a hiking incident where it put a sore on the bottom of my leg, and I haven't been able to wear my prosthetic leg since Sunday. And so I've been in a wheelchair or using crutches. And also I scoot around on my butt with on my hands to scoot around. And um, I think when you do that after, a long period of time, you become stronger in different ways. Like my hands are super strong because I'm always gripping something, with my wheelchair or my hand cycle or my crutches. And then where my arms kind of became my legs for a while, like scooting around, and where, I tell people like, the guy who's paralyzed, he is so strong. Like I can't even believe how strong that he is because he uses his upper body all the time. And so it's like I tell people it's like we're on a 24/7 workout, like we're working out all the time. Just our life is a workout, and to even look at it that way instead of a chore, instead of looking at our maybe a certain task as a chore and look at it as a workout. Like, hey, look at this opportunity I get to work out. Like a lot of people, it's that just changing your mindset. It's perception. It could be a real crappy day, or it can be a real good day. It's going to be up to you. I think it's learning how to dance in the rain. It's just it's one of those things. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's what life is about, is learning just how to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Appreciate the good days and be ready for the bad ones, because they're coming.
Rustin, we could go on for hours, man, but we're running short on time. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for letting us be a part of that last seminar with the AMAA, and appreciate having you be a part of the organization and a part of this podcast. We'll be in touch for sure, man.
Right on.
And how do people continue to watch your story? What's the best way for them to follow you?
Social media on Facebook, Rustin Hughes, or B-Bold on Facebook and Instagram.
Check it out.
Yep.
Check it out and see what he's up to next.
Thanks, guys.
It was a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Beyond the Label. If you would like to be a guest on an upcoming episode, email contact@adaptivemartialarts.org. Beyond the Label is produced by JD Production and presented by Century Martial Arts, the world leader in martial arts since 1976. CenturyMartialArts.com for everything that is martial arts.